Jose Trujillo. I'm a fine art artist. I'm coming to you from my art studio to talk to people who want to commission a portrait painting. Okay? When it comes to portrait paintings, many people have kind of asked themselves this question. I mean, who would want that? Why do you want that for? Or a portrait painting, you just take a photograph and that's it. A portrait painting is completely different than a photograph. Don't get confused. They're different. There's portrait photography, and a portrait painting is a whole other beast. Okay, so if you haven't learned a little bit about portrait painting, check out some of my other videos. But here's the question: why would someone want a portrait painting? A portrait painting is it's many times a trophy. It's a way to create a trophy for someone in their life. That's really what it represents. It's a way to celebrate beyond what creating a photograph is, or it's not. See, a photograph many times is more documentation. You're documenting. You know, you take a photograph, whether it's professional or with your camera, of your kids' baby steps. You know, first when they're crawling, or it's kind of like a video, you know, but it's nicer. Of course, I don't want to discredit its photography. Is absolutely beautiful, but it's just more of a documentation. You're documenting something. A portrait painting, it's not necessarily a documentation. It's like a crown. It's not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying it's a different beast. Okay, it's not for means to document. It serves more as a crown, as a celebration. You're here to create this. You're in a place in your life where you want to be celebrated like no other form before. It's a milestone in your life, and you want to celebrate it, right? Let's say you just became a doctor, or you just graduated from somewhere, or you're married and you have a portrait, you know, a photograph of the marriage, you know, but then you have a portrait painting of a honeymoon or something. I don't know. It's not so much documentation. It has to do more with a crowning. You know, you've arrived somewhere. You're not going to do multiples. You're probably not going to have, you know, different ones. It's only going to be one portrait painting where you could have multiple photographs, because you're documenting. You know, you're at a park. Let's say you got married, right? You're with your spouse. You're at a park, not a park, in the grassy field, and then you're with a family, and then you're with the glasses. It's a documentation. Portrait painting is completely different. A portrait painting, you might just be sitting there. You know, it's a whole different beast. So why would a person want a portrait painting? It's very simple. Portrait paintings are acquired for people usually when they want to celebrate a very important milestone in their lives. Usually people get them when they have a child and they hadn't. They want to remember the child that way, but in a specific way. Let's say playing with a certain toy or something. It's something very, very classic. Or you're an astronaut and you want to be remembered with your, with your helmet. And there's photographs for that, but they also create this portrait painting to pass it to many generations. You know, as we know, photographs have this pigment to last for many years. But I mean, all we have to do is look back in portrait painting, how they've been for centuries and centuries. You know, we still have these paintings with the same vividness of color. So I'm not trying to discredit photographs or paintings. It's just a different thing. It's more of a classic way to remember something, or a milestone, you know, someone. I mean, let's say you have a horse, you know, who's very special, you know, he's a runner or something, you know, you have in the Kentucky Derby or whatever, and you want to remember this horse in its glory. Then you have a portrait painting created of that horse. Let's say that you finish writing your book, your novel. You want to have a portrait painting of you sitting, not with a novel like this, but kind of, it's a romantic, is what I'm trying to get at. It's a romantic expression of the figure. Maybe you're writing the novel, or you're holding the novel. It's not. It's a very subtle, more romantic type of representation of the figure, and it's created in a different atmosphere. Maybe the horse is not painted in the grass. Maybe the horse is painted as there is a different background, or maybe the background is dark and the horse just illuminates. In this translucency. It's a whole different thing. It's like photoshopped. I guess the one way to put it, to make it to make the figure the number one thing to stand out, and the background is kind of lost somewhere. It's more it's quiet. That's what a portrait painting really aims at. The background is more quiet, and all attention goes to the figure. And why would someone want that? Why wouldn't someone want that? It's the ultimate. It's the ultimate crown. You did something in your life. You wrote, like I mentioned, you wrote a novel. You did this, you did that, or you're a famous celebrity, a philanthropist, or something. You want something. You want someone to be remembered. Your parents. Yes, you want to have a photograph, but what if you had a painting? And your children, grandchildren, and their grandchildren get to enjoy it. My name is Jose Trujillo. I'm a fine art artist. I hope I didn't ramble too much, but why wouldn't someone want a portrait painting? Thank you so much for watching.